Hi, this is Dr. Russell Bourne from Jupiter, Florida, and I play at Jonathan's Landing Country Club. Welcome to Golf Smarter.
Hi, this is Anton Besenet from East London, South Africa, and I play at West Bank Golf Club, Ganubi Golf Clubs, and all the other beautiful golf clubs in our area. This is Golf Smarter number 1023.
I feel like if you asked me as a 24, 25-year-old, I would say, no, I got to go to the tour. But sitting here as a 30-year-old that's married and thinking about family and kids, that'd be hard to say no to. Where I'm at right now, LIV isn't knocking on my door. I mean, I was a top 300 player 18 months ago, but where I'm currently sitting, that would be pretty tempting when you're playing purses that are 100th of that, the PGA Tour Canada, which is why you see a lot of PGA Tour U's had to come out and become much more prevalent of getting and keeping talent, because if you waive a $10 million contract to a top 5 college player, that's pretty hard to say no to versus, hey, you're gonna have to go through Q school if you don't have it for that week, try again next year, or go through the Korn Ferry Tour and make way less money. You know, Jon Rahm and Scotty Scheffler, I mean, Jon Rahm was a much better player, much more recognized 3-4 years ago. Scotty's one of the greatest players to ever touch a club, and that's what people are gonna remember from this generation, is his dominance. Jon Rahm's making way more money, but no one cares.
You don't have to play perfect golf to play great golf with pro golfer and college standout Chris Petefish.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, Chris.
Hey, Fred.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you so much for reaching out to me. I'm fascinated when I have guests on that say, yeah, I think I'd be a valuable asset to the Golf Smarter podcast. And so you sent me a bio, and it's like, oh yeah, I agree with you. You will be. Tell me what you're up to these days. You're coaching and playing tournament golf, or doing what?
I am, yes. So I'm playing at PGA Tour Americas right now, formerly PGA Tour Canada. So yeah, I've been playing professional golf for 8 years now, and I played 2 of them up in Canada, and then kind of lost a year or 2 in COVID, which I still had status up there, but everyone was frozen at the time.
Yeah,
I got my Korn Ferry card in end of 2021. I played out there for 3 years, 22, 23, 24. I was 1 shot away from my tour card in 2023. But I mean, there's so many stories like that, you know?
Yeah, but I want to hear yours.
You know, I was having an okay year, and then I showed up in Utah, and this was, I think, early August, end of July of 23, and I just had an incredible week. I had one of the only, I think, 10 or 11 events in PGA Tour history or Korn Ferry Tour history without a bogey for 72 holes.
Whoa.
Yes, I didn't record a bogey the entire week, just pitched the perfect game. I think I was 24 under, 23 under for the week. And I was sitting in the clubhouse, I think up by 2 shots. And, you know, I had a pretty good shot at winning the tournament. And there was only one guy that possibly could catch up. It was Roger Sloan. And credit to him, the guy birdied 3 of the last 4 holes to edge me out by a shot. I think he made like 2 or 3 putts outside 15 feet in a row, just like, these are putts that have like, 18, 20% chance of going in, and they just kept going in. And so that was a little bit of a snake bitten, but it was, such a high to have such a great week. And
so wait a minute, you almost won that tournament, that event, and yet it prevented you from getting your card?
If I had won that tournament, then yeah, I probably would have gotten my card just based on how the points work. And I also finished tied for second a month later at one of the Korn Ferry Championship events at Ohio State. And I was in a 2-way tie for second. And if I was solo second, that would have done as well. So it was really like 1 shot there, or, Roger Sloan not going crazy in the last 4 holes. But I mean, that's just how golf is.
Right. And so is that frustration kind of make you question what you're doing, or are you just like, okay, I'm that close, I can do this?
I think you have to have gain confidence out of that I am that close, and it is like I am doing the right things, because I mean, at the end of the day, you want to play golf where I'm not going back and frustrated. Oh, I should have done this. I should have done that, which is a part of like what we'll talk about in playing strategic golf and getting the most out of your game as you can. And I think both of those situations, like, you know what, I did what I could, and I just got beat.
Yeah. You just play your game, and if someone beats you, they beat you. Right?
Yeah, you just got to shake their hand. But so, yeah, I'm still playing up in Canada right now, as well as teaching and, player performance coaching. I really enjoy that as well. Some building a clientele, and it's really fun to go back and teach. Not only, I do have a lot of juniors mostly, but also, some professional players, guys that are trying to get back into it. And it's kind of fun just being able to teach them everything that I wish I knew 15 years ago across this whole journey of how to play your best golf.
Interesting. But you also had an illustrious college career before you started going pro.
I did. I mean, I guess if we're going back, I was like a top 5 high school recruit in my class in 2014, and obviously had a lot of options of where to play college golf. And I was lucky enough that Georgia Tech also wanted me to play for them, and so that's where I ended up playing from 2014, 2018, and I did. I had a good career. I was all ACC, and we had a ton of great teams. I actually never was number 1 on the team. And just, I played all 4 years, but yeah, we had great teams, a lot of success. And, I had a very solid career, you'd say, as a college player. But
is Georgia Tech known for their college program? I mean, their golf program?
Yeah, very, very much so. I mean, they're definitely one of the better programs in the last 30 years under Bruce Hepler. And they've won, I can't even tell you how many ACC championships they've won, their conference. Wow. It's got to be somewhere like around 20. And just a great program. A lot of great professionals that come out of there. Obviously, you talk about Bobby Jones, like way back in the day, but Matt Kuchar, Stuart Sink, David Duvall, a lot of great prestige coming out of that program. And that was a place that I wanted to go, knowing that I wanted to play professional golf, and Bruce knows how to get players ready to do that.
And what do you feel is your window of opportunity to get to the show, get to the tour, where you feel like, okay, if I give it X amount of years and I don't do it, then maybe I should just be focusing on instruction and things like that.
Yeah.
Have you put that on yourself, or you don't even think about that?
No, it's definitely stuff I think about. I mean, that's part of the reason I'm doing some coaching now, and enjoying that almost as much as playing myself and being out there. I am 30 years old. I got married 13 months ago, which has been a blessing. And
congratulations.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And so it's definitely, I think everyone has that question of like, man, how much time am I going to give myself? How good can I get this game? And it's something that I think growing up was always just, how good can I get? I'm going to compete against myself, because golf is not a game where you can compete against other players, not in the sense of physically, like you can if you're, in tennis or whatnot. But for me, it's always been a competition of like, how good can I get? And if I feel like that I'm plateauing or not getting better, then I feel like that's when, and if I'm not on the tour, then that's kind of when, hey, I've done what I can.
If you've only been married 13 months, I got to believe that your spouse is totally in on this.
Oh yeah.
Or do you ever hear her toes tapping like, okay, it's not working, time to go?
No, she's fully supportive of me. So
awesome.
That's good. Yeah. Found it
good for you. Good for you. And what about your college team? Anybody that we would recognize their name that came out of the program that you played on for 4 years?
Yeah. I mean, starting with when I was a freshman, Ollie Snydergens was a senior. He was number 1 amateur in the world, and he is a reserve on LIV right now. But I mean, loads of talent there, obviously. One of the best college players ever. And Anders Albertson played quite a few years on PGA Tour. Seth Reeves did. Vince Whaley's out there right now. He was someone that wasn't like the hot shot coming out of high school, and then just kept getting better and better. And just it's been impressive to watch him, in his career. And then some of the young guys, Andy Ogletree, he won the USAM. He's on LIV right now. Trying to think. Strafacci, he won the USAM. So there's been a ton of great players, and even from the 4 years I was there.
Yeah. You brought this up, and I'm really fascinated because of the position you're in that I want to bring this up, where you are getting close. You're like, you can taste the tour. You know it's right there. You just got to play your best game and hope that nobody goes nuts in the last 4 holes of a tournament. But LIV is there as well. And if they were to throw a bunch of money at you to play exhibition golf, which at this point LIV is still exhibition golf, where would your mindset go? And I'm sure you've thought about this, and it's not the first time it's coming up to you. Yeah. Where do you sit down with your spouse and say, yeah, maybe this is the better way to do this for the future of our family? Or no, I've got to play on the tour to know that I can play with the best. Where are you, and how does that sit?
That's a good question. I feel like if you asked me as a 24, 25-year-old, I would say, no, I got to go to the tour. I got to do this. But sitting here as a 30-year-old that's married and thinking about family and kids and all that stuff, like that'd be hard to say no to. Because, I mean, where I'm at right now, LIV isn't knocking on my door, even as someone that was, I mean, I was a top 300 player, 18 months ago in the official world golf rankings. But, where I'm currently sitting, that would be pretty tempting when you're playing, purses that are 100th of that, the PGA Tour Canada, the Americas event. So, that would be pretty tempting and hard probably to say no to, which is why you see a lot of, the PGA Tour U's had to come out and become much more prevalent of getting and keeping talent. Because if you waive a $10 million contract to a top 5 college player, that's pretty hard to say no to versus, hey, you're going to have to go through Q school if you don't have it for that week, try again next year, or go through the Korn Ferry Tour and make way less money. Like, and there's so many good players that like, it's hard to blame if someone wants to take that, which even if it's not like the dream of like, PGA Tour is a lot more meaningful golf. Like, John Rahm and Scotty Scheffler, those were names that were, John Rahm was much better player, much more recognized 3-4 years ago. And now it's like John Rahm's making way more money, but no one cares. Like Scotty's one of the greatest players to ever touch a club. And that's what people are right now going to remember from this generation is his dominance.
That was a very thoughtful answer, and I really appreciate you being open to talking about the LIV journey. If it was there, what would it take for you to get that phone call? What would it take? What do you think it would take for maybe sometime getting that phone call going, ooh, we got to consider this?
Gosh, that's a good question. The easiest way to do it now would be if I got in through their promotions event. Otherwise, it's like the guys that are getting invited there now or have had pretty good careers on the PGA Tour. So it's almost like a catch-22. Like I'd have to be on the PGA Tour and having success out there for them to get that phone call.
But the guys that you played with in college that went to LIV,
they
did.
They went through their international series. So they qualified their way on. Andy played incredible golf on the international series, which is like their feeder tour, their Korn Ferry Tour, where only one person gets elevated to LIV. And so he played well through going through that tour. And then Ollie got invited to the promotions event, which is, I think it's in Abu Dhabi or something in December. But he got that, I think he came in like second or third and, qualified for the international series. Because you have to qualify just to get to the international series, which is underneath LIV. And then he won that first event in the international series and then became a reserve for the LIV Golf League. So the easiest pathway for me to get there would be through that, like their quote unquote Q school to then get onto their Korn Ferry. So it definitely is a process now where before, because there's a limited number of players, like it's definitely tougher to crack a spot.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now you're playing and you're coaching.
Correct. Yep.
And so how do you split that time and focus on your game versus other people's games?
Yeah, obviously, I got to put my clients' needs first, like, make sure that they're getting what they need. And I enjoy working with them and watching them play. And just like, I feel like I'm a college coach. Like I'm tracking all their leaderboards and seeing how they're doing. And it's definitely a juggling act between, husband, player, coach. But honestly, it's kind of like a fun challenge for me. Like I have to be very efficient with my time, and I have to really practice what I preach, which is like a lot of these college kids coming out and playing against, like they may be practicing and playing more than me, but they're just not going to outsmart me on the golf course, which is a lot of the stuff that I preach is, a lot of like decade principles and course strategy of just going back to some of the events this summer of like, I've led 2 of the fields in bogey avoidance. I've been top 5 in most of them. It's just like, I'm just not going to give shots away. Like that is my goal. I'm going to not make bogeys. And if I make enough birdies, so be it. That's how you contend in events and win events. But I'm just going to have to play very smart and practice smart if I don't have as much time.
We like golf smarter.
Yeah.
What's your superpower on the course? What is it that sets you apart from your competition?
Well, I would say
as a player, as a coach.
As a player, I would say a couple things, like my mind, obviously, just being able to really be present and not get emotional when things go haywire, which they often do, literally all the time. And, I would say physical part of my game would be my iron play. I'm really solid from like 9 iron to 5 iron. Just been, strokes gain approach is somewhere I've been really good. And so I do well on courses where it's demanding into the greens, and there's a bigger penalty that if you miss a green short side, it's much harder to get up and down. I'll do a good job of hitting a lot of greens. So that's where a lot of the bogey avoidance, it's easier to be good at that when you're hitting a lot of solid iron shots to, 18, 25 feet. So that's part of the reason why I do well with not making a ton of bogeys. And I've actually done a better in Korn Ferry events where the scores aren't super low for that reason. 2 of I've had a second and a third in events where like, single digits won the event just because I was, not making a ton of birdies. I just wasn't making bogeys and harder courses. So,
and what's more, because we've heard Tiger talk about things like that, but to you is saving par and not making bogeys more valuable than making birdies?
For sure. Yeah. The numbers would suggest that absolutely, that, 65, 70% of your score is attributed to how well can you avoid a bogey versus how many birdies you can make. And I think in a lot of understanding the principles of like, I hate to say this, but golf in general, just where does scoring come from and how do you avoid bogeys is something that isn't taught enough or emphasized enough.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah, we can talk everything from tee shots to putting, but I think putting is a really easy one to talk about. It's low-hanging fruit, and it's just the capture rate of the hole, I think, is not talked about enough. And things I see even from announcers on TV where, they talk about, oh, I can't believe he left this putt short, or he's got a really good look and it's like an 18-foot slider. I'm like, that's just not a high percentage putt to make. And in the capture rate of the hole, which, I think it was either Lou Stagner or someone, I saw them tweet this out. It was a great photo of like, how big is actually the hole based on how far past you hit this putt. Because, the hole is 4.25 inches, but it's not that big if you're hitting it 4 feet past the hole. Like the ability for the ball to actually go in the hole is significantly smaller if you're hitting putts 4 feet past the hole. And I think what people don't realize is like, you actually have to leave some putts short in order to make more putts. And it sounds counterproductive.
Whoa. Yeah. It's like, you've got to leave. I played with someone really was like, at my club, when I play, if I leave a putt short, I owe everyone on the group $4 or $5 each. It's like, but you're saying strategically.
Just math. Yeah, you have to leave some putts short from like, I'm talking anywhere outside 15 feet. Because again, you have to think of putts as like a dispersion. So, if I hit 100 putts from 25 feet, I'm not going to hit every putt within 2 feet. Like there's going to be a 4-foot window of putts, and I have to place that 4-foot window in the appropriate place where, I'm giving myself the best chance for as many putts to go as possible, but I'm not going to 3-putt, because that's the easiest way to lose shots is to 3-putt.
Absolutely.
And that's a thing when you think of the capture rate of the hole. Like if you're hitting putts 3, 4, 5 feet past the hole, you've made the hole so small that you're not making those. Even if they're a well-struck putt, they're probably going to lip out because you made the hole so small. But B, you will miss 3, 4, and 5 footers occasionally. It will happen. And so if you don't leave putt short, it's like people say, okay, I can just hit within this 2-foot window of, at the hole or just past the hole. And like, that's not possible. We're not robots. Golf is hard. Unless you're 2015 Jordan Spieth, like he may be the only person I can think of that hit every putt in a 2-foot window because he made putts from 20 to 25 feet. I've never seen before. Anyone's ever been seen for in golf. But for the rest of people, like, yeah, you're going to have a 4-foot window from 20, 25 feet if you're a good player. It might be 6 feet for the average player. So it's like, you're going to if you don't leave any putt short and you have a 5-foot window, then you're just going to have putts be at the hole, 5 feet past, everything from 3 to 5 feet past the hole. Doesn't really have a shot at going in. You will 3-putt those. And so you have to leave some short in order for the putts that you go past the hole actually have a chance to go in.
And why is that? Why is a putt that goes 5 feet past more difficult to make than a putt that's 5 feet short?
It's not that it's 5 feet short. Like I'm not suggesting you hit it 5 feet short. I'm suggesting if you have this window of putts that you hit, let's say you hit 100 putts from 20 feet, like ideally I want to leave my window between 1 foot short and 4 feet past. So I'm not saying leave it 5 feet short. Like if you're going to leave a putt 5 feet, I'd rather you hit 5 feet past. It might hit the hole, slow it down, or you get to see the read on the way through.
And that's a really important thing. Seeing the read on the way through. If you miss the putt and it goes past, keep your eye on it, right?
For sure. Yeah. You're
going to learn a lot.
You will. Yes. And so, when it comes back to like putting, it's like, avoiding 3 putts from outside 20 feet is one of the fastest ways to save a shot or 2 or 3 around, depending on the type of player. Because we spend so much time like, oh, I'm really trying to make this putt. And it's like, no, what you really need to do is have as good speed. And if that means leaving some 1 or 2 feet short, be happy. Go in and tap it in, stress-free.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. You've mentioned capture rate multiple times at this point, and I've never heard that term. Can you explain what that means? Capture rate?
Yeah, it's almost like imagine a putt that hangs on the lip and then falls in, circa Tiger Woods' chip in 2005.
Yeah, right.
Like that is using the maximum amount of the hole to have the ball go in. And you can almost think of it, I think of it almost like an NBA shot, where like if you have a 3-point shot with the perfect arc, like Steph Curry, he's using basically the most amount of the basket you can for it to go in.
Of the hoop, sure.
Of the hoop, for it to go in. Versus someone that comes in there like a line drive, someone that's not a good 3-point shooter. I'm thinking like Russell Westbrook, Andre Roberson back in the day, those guys that are 3-and-D specials that just aren't a good 3-point shot. If it's coming in fast and low, like you're not using a lot of that hoop to go in. And that's the same thing in putting. Like if you're coming in with 3, 4, 5 feet past the hole, you are the guy that's just throwing line drives at the basket. And it's just unlikely to go in unless it's perfect.
Interesting. Oh, I love this. Keep going. Do you ever use the hole as like a clock and going, okay, I need to come in at 4 o'clock here. If you're where you're standing is 6 o'clock on the face of the clock, and I want my ball to break, and it's looking at what I have here as the break, I see the ball going in at 4:30. Is that one of your strategies that you use and teach?
I have used that before. I think I'm an Aimpoint guy. And so, I'll get my read using my feet. And then once I have my line, it's really about the speed and just hoping that the hole gets in the way. Because if I have good speed, then I'm just going to make the hole as big as I possibly can. And, I think otherwise you start thinking about the clock, which is fine. Aim small, miss small. But I think if I start thinking about the clock too much, then I'll kind of lose sight on the speed.
Are you familiar? You're down in Georgia. Are you familiar with Eric Alpenfels at Pinehurst, head instructor at Pinehurst?
I'm not.
Okay, so we did an episode with him recently about his book Instinct Putting, which came out, I think, a decade ago. And I've been talking a lot about it because it's such a radical thought, but it's really makes a lot of sense. And I know there's a lot of things in golf that don't make a lot of sense, but we do it anyway. And his whole theory on instinct putting is looking at the hole when you're putting.
I'm a huge believer in that. Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it just has to be athletic. Think about a free throw shooter. Like when he's dribbling, you're not looking at the ball. Like you're looking at the basket. You're looking at the target. And that's
I talk about that all the time. It's like it's simplest one to think of. We talk about shooting a basket, throwing a football, throwing a baseball, hitting a baseball. All these things. Cornhole is the easiest way to explain it to somebody. It's like you wouldn't look at your hand when you're throwing the beanbag.
Right. Yeah, no, you have to be athletic. And that's something where putting is not probably, but it has been the weakness of my game. That thing that's held me back is like when I putt well, I'm like top 10, top 15 contending. And that is something that I've struggled with because I want to think internally and think about, how I'm putting it. And it's definitely a constant battle for me to like look at the target. And it's something I have to keep reinforcing to this day, but it certainly helps a lot. I can't, express how important it is to look at the hole more because that is the goal. It's also going to help your speed.
Yeah. I mean, do you ever look at the hole while you're putting or do you bring your eyes back to the ball?
I bring my eyes back to the ball. I can't really speed it and do what he does with the short putts.
So that's this book is all about.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. And it's not something he's like, I'm going to go try that. No. You've got to work on it. It takes time and you got to practice.
Yeah, you got to practice.
And you got to trust it. And he talks about your athletic intuition, which you were kind of alluding to, the same thing, is doing that. And it just, locking yourself into that. Also, when you're doing it and you're looking at the hole, and we're just saying, let's say 4 or 5 foot putt, and you're looking at a very specific spot that you're aiming for in the hole, and you keep looking at that, you eliminate the head game of mechanics. And you don't have to worry about lifting your head because it's already lifted.
That's true.
Right? but it's like eliminating the mechanics or the worry of mechanics would happen. And I know that that's always been an issue for me when I'm putting, especially on short putts. It's like, my hands, I wasn't, holding the putter, elevating it off the ground a little bit. And I didn't do that and didn't do this. But by doing, using this instinct putting now, I'm eliminating a lot of that and getting a lot more longer putts.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. You think of some of the best players in the world, they're not usually the ones that have long routines. They're not the ones standing over the ball. They're the ones that are like taking 1 or 2 looks and they're hitting it. Because they're just athletic. They're in a flow state. They're not thinking about how to hit. They're just like, there's a target. There's cool. Hit it. And it's just, think of Brandt Snedeker. I think of a couple of the guys that are incredible putters, like even that play with Robbie Shelton, Braden Thornberry, like they're so automatic with their putting. It's very athletic and flowy.
Interesting. And so when you're playing competitively, you said earlier, it's tough to outsmart me on the course. So it's just not the physical element, the mechanics of your game that makes you an elite player.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, golf is a game. And the more you understand the rules of the game and how golf is scored, like the better you're going to play. And the more consistent, the more you're going to get out of your own game, I should say. And I almost kind of relate it to a very complicated game of blackjack. Like there's just a set of rules and probabilities that you need to live by on the golf course to just take the emotion out of it and make good decisions over and over again. And yeah, it's really helped me get the most out of my game, but also be like, it makes golf more fun because you're not after a round just thinking, oh man, what an idiot. Why did I do that? I just wasted this. I felt like I should have shot lower. A lot of my rounds, like, I shot what I should have shot. And, if I went and shot, 73 or 72, and it's like, all right, let's go work on some mechanics or go work on a few things. But like, you don't need to play like at a competitive level, you don't need to play perfect golf to play great golf. You need to know how to understand how to manage, your strategy and manage your golf game. But I've played a ton of great tournaments and great golf with like, man, my swing doesn't feel great and I have a miss, but I'm going to play it and I'm going to center my shot pattern and I'm going to play with what I have.
I think you just came up with the title of the episode. You don't need to play perfect golf to play great golf.
There we go.
I love that. Go. Yeah. I'm going to just isolate that, and that will be the title of the episode, most likely. Unless you come up with another gem like that, that's pretty awesome.
No, I mean, I got a good story from the U.S. Open that definitely applies to that.
Go.
Because, I mean, I qualified for Pinehurst in 2024, and it was such a cool experience. It was my first major, and, I was really I wanted to take it all in and just play as well as I could, and it was just such a neat experience, cool venue. It ended up being an incredible tournament, obviously with Bryson and Rory. But I really spent the first 27 holes, which again, I preach this stuff, but I played the first 27 holes just trying to be perfect. Like, I just need to be so good. Like, I'm in this moment. And I wasn't hitting it great. I really wasn't hitting it like as good as I wanted to that whole year. But I got to the point where I think I was 9 or 10 over par going into the last 9 holes, and the cut was 5 over. So it was unlikely. And I was turning to the front 9, which was the brutal side at Pinehurst number 2. Not that there's an easy side, because the place kind of wrecked everyone, except for, Bryson and Rory. But what I did was just like, I kind of just snapped out and listen, I'm not within the cut line unless I go shoot 4 or 5 under on this side, which would be crazy. But like, I just need to play golf. I need to stop trying to play so perfect. I have like a 5 to 8 yard push right now. I'm just going to play it. So then that front 9 at Pinehurst on Friday afternoon, I just remember having good targets and then centering my pattern, which meant if I was going to aim 4 yards left, like hole number 1 Friday, it was a front right pan brutal hole. And, I'm aiming 4 yards right of the hole. That's where I want this ball to end up. But because I'm hitting a 5-6 yard push, I was going 4 to 5 yards left of that to account for the push. So I'm kind of done trying to fix my golf swing in the middle of the U.S. Open. That's not a good idea. But what I did was I played my miss, and I started having great results. I shot 1 under on that side, and I missed 3 7-foot putts that I should have made. I mean, it was one of those looking back and I really could have shot 4 under the front 9 there at the U.S. Open and threatened to make the cut. But I mean, shooting 1 under par on that side was really good. And again, it was just I didn't have my best stuff. If I aimed where I had been aiming, I'd probably shoot 2 or 3 over par again. Because if you're short-sighted at Pinehurst, you're toast. If you miss greens at Pinehurst, you're toast. And so just okay, I'm trying to play smart golf here, and it's not perfect, but I can outsmart my miss. And, it was still good enough to beat Scotty that day. It was good enough to tie Rory that day. And it's just man, you don't have to play perfect to play some good golf. And even at the U.S. Open.
I'm curious what kind of putter you use.
Yeah, I've been a ping guy forever. I want to say it's a DST or something. I've used quite a few putters in the day, but yeah, I've been a ping guy my whole life. So between that and the Alley Blue, that's kind of mostly what I've used. I've been a mallet guy for quite a bit. I just like the forgiveness. And I think what you're seeing is a lot of the best players are starting to enjoy the forgiveness too. If it makes it easier to have good speed, then a lot of people should probably be using mallets. And
well, the audience knows that I'm a huge fan of LIV Golf. And have been since 2019. They've kind of changed things in the way the world looks at small manufacturers. Couldn't be happier for them. Have you ever tried one?
I have, yeah. No, I've tinkered with them quite a bit. I've used them in some events. They're solid. They're good. Yeah, I like what they've done.
Yeah. I love what they've done. Let's talk about, you mentioned you're an Aimpoint guy. Explain your process. Explain your pre-shot routine using Aimpoint for your putting.
I met with Mark.
It's putting mainly, right?
Yes, which I've actually heard people use it for chipping as well, which is interesting. But yeah, I saw Mark Sweeney probably 4 to 5 years ago, and he taught me the Aimpoint Express way of calculating your where to aim. And it's just something that you have to practice, but it's not complicated. You're just measuring the percentage of slope in your feet. And then once you just learn and know what 1, 2, 3% feels like, then it just becomes very easy. And it's nice to have that awareness, especially on putts where you're just quite not sure where the break is, or many times your eyes can just deceive you. And there's a lot of smart golf architects out there that they have slopes going, you think it's a hard right to left slope, but where you're actually putting, it's relatively flat. And, that's the stuff that is nice to have, that, hey, my eyes are telling me this, but I need to trust my feet because that's where the ball is going. The ball is rolling across the ground. It's not what my eyes think is happening. And, as long as you have a good process and you trust it, I think Aimpoint is really good. Obviously, there's great players that don't do it and they trust their eyes. But at the same time, like everyone's different. Some people may be really gifted at how their eyes work. Some of the people need contacts and glasses, like myself. We're not all the same. But Aimpoint's a great, just for getting really good general reads, like where is this thing going, especially in like 20, 30 footers, because you want to talk about getting the ball close. If you're misreading those and there's anything around 2-3% slope, that ball is going to get away from you quickly, even if you have decent speed, because then you're 3 or 4 feet left of the hole. And then you're talking about, hey, if I'm 3-4 feet left of the hole and I'm past the hole, now I'm like 6 feet away.
Yeah.
You can get away from you quickly if you're low side.
So with your Aimpoint pre-shot routine,
Sure.
Are you looking at the hole from multiple angles, or are you just from behind the ball and just working there, or do you go to the other side of the pin as well?
I'm mainly just behind the ball, and you straddle the line in like multiple places, 1 to 2 places, like a third of the way between the ball and the hole, and 2/3 of the way. And really, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not, again, having my eyes confuse me. So it's really just the only thing that really matters is between me and the hole. So that's mostly where I focus on. And then once I get my percent, I know exactly where to put my fingers on my arm to know, you put that, the hole right in the middle of the hole on the left side of your index. And then however fingers you have is, on the right edge of your fingers, kind of where you're supposed to aim. And it's fun. You get definitely a lot of questions in pro-ams, like, what are you doing with your hands, man? Yeah. And I go through the process with them.
And do you walk off the distance, or is it all eyeballing it? It's
I do walk.
I think, yeah. Talk to me about that. Tim Tucker was on once, and he talked about, look, everyone's got their GPS and their rangefinder, and they want to know whether the hole is 180 or 90 yards or whatever it is. But when they get to the green, they're just eyeballing it, and they're not really testing to see what is the actual distance, and then register that in your mind. And that was a huge revelation for me. So I've been doing that ever since, and I really trust that. But how, you say you do that as well. You walk it off, your distances.
I
do. How it feels.
And I originally did it because I wanted to make sure when I put my statistics in, my strokes gain, the apps and stuff, like I want to make sure the information's good. I don't want to say, hey, I'm making all these 12-foot putts when they're actually 8. Because then it skews all your data, and it's just, you don't want that as well. So originally it was just for that purpose, but after time it became like there was more functionality to it of, hey, here's how long I have this putt, and I practice, 15. I just know what a 15-foot putt feels like when you're practicing before events and you're doing drills. It's like, okay, this is 15 feet. This is what I should expect, the length of this stroke to be. Or on the opposite side, like, hey, I've got a 27-footer. Like, that is just reinforcing my mind. Do not try to make this putt. If it happens to go in with great speed, that's a bonus. But like, I'm not in a position where this is a go for it. This is not a green light if I got a 27-footer. It's kind of like you're the blackjack table and, you're showing, let's say you're showing a 12 and the dealer's got a 10. It's like, this isn't a position of power. Do not try to do anything crazy here and like go for it, because you're more likely to 3-putt from 30 feet, let's say just outside 30 feet, than you are to make it. And that's from tour. Like tour pros are about 2-putt from 30 feet. So, I mean, talking about the amateur game, like much more likely to 3-putt from anywhere outside of 20 feet. So it's like, you're going to make up shots in general on your competition. If you just have good speed, you 2-putt, and if the hole gets in the way, great. So that's measuring out also kind of helps manage expectations. Like, hey, where am I? What is the shot expectation here? And so that I don't care if it's for par, it's for bogey, it's for eagle. The shot expectation is the same. And it's very easy to be like, oh, I have this par putt. Kind of like Rory, the Masters, the first hole. The final day, he's got this like 18-foot par putt. And I can guarantee you, if it was a birdie putt, he does not hit this thing 7-8 feet past the hole. Like, he zoomed it because he's trying to make this putt. And that's ridiculous, because you're not going to make the putt if you hit 7 feet past the hole. That thing is just going to lip out, unless it's one of those that hits the back of the cup, launches in the air, and comes down. But that it's very easy to be like, oh man, I have to make this as a par. But like, it's still an 18-foot putt, regardless if it's your third shot or your 10th shot. Like, it's the same probabilities of going in or not.
Interesting. And how do you use strokes gained, the information that you get from strokes gained that, Mark Brody introduced us to, and we recently played back the episode where the week before his book came out, and he didn't know if people were going to accept it or not. And it's really become an important part. Metrics has really changed how we look at game, at our golf game. And tell me how you use strokes gained information to improve your own game.
Yeah, I was about to say, how much time do you have?
3 minutes.
Yeah. I'll try to keep this short. Man, I use it for everything. I use it for not only like strategically how I play the game, but also, how do I need to practice? What do I need to work on? Like, what is my recipe for success out there? Everyone's game is different. Everyone has a DNA for how they're going to play their best golf, and it's different usually for everybody. So yeah, strokes gained it's definitely revolutionized like the way I see the game, and really just like think about statistics in sports and how much like people realizing in basketball that you need to shoot 3-pointers early and often, because you're going to score more points. And it's just, golf is in kind of a similar ilk, but there's just obviously a lot more different ways of scoring other than 2s versus 3s. It's much more complicated. And so it's harder to grasp, but the concept still remains like there is certain ways to play golf that you will score optimally if you follow these laws of strokes gain. And a lot of the apps are really solid, and it's just, I think of it like almost like a doctor. Like, this is like the X-ray or the MRI of your game. And it's like, if you don't know A, what you're looking at, good luck. But B, like, you need to at least start, because otherwise you're just going to be guessing on what needs to happen, how to score, and how to get better.
And how do you teach it for your students? How do you incorporate it into your instruction?
Yeah. So, I incorporate it basically 2 main ways of like, hey, here are how you need to think of golf in general, as in like targets off the tee, ways of avoiding bogey. Like, these are the falls that people have, and how even like how we talked about putting, of like, hey, outside this certain range, this is how we need to think of it, and speed. And it's like, I can see their information in real time get better. It's like, oh, I didn't realize putting needed to be like that. And then I'm watching them like over time 3-putt less. And it's like, okay, their scoring average is getting better just from putting alone. And then you have all these different areas of improvement and ways to also practice. And like, hey, if I'm on the range, I'm on the practice screen, this is what I'm going to practice to reinforce, again, all comes back from strokes gained and expectations. Like, here are the expectations for these shots. How am I going to practice this on the practice range in order to like play optimally on the golf course? So it's, how do you practice? How are you specifically as the client going to play your best game? And like, how do I get good targets? How do I think on the golf course?
Interesting. And what about course strategy? It's got to be critically important to not only your game, but your instruction.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott Fawcett is a guy that I've talked to for many years, and definitely agree with his methods of decade. And, just being able to like apply a lot of the strokes gained philosophies and dispersions. And really, the more you understand that, it's you're going to play more optimal golf and be able to like trust numbers and math. Because I mean, the more you get emotional out there, like it doesn't even have to be golf. Like the more emotional you get and make emotional based decisions, they're usually not better decisions.
When in your playing career did you have the epiphany of I shouldn't be emotional? Where were you? Do you remember that moment? It's like, oh, this has got to change.
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, because none of this really was a thing before 2014, and or really the mid early 2000s, and for me, that kind of breaking point was college. I was a high recruit. I played pretty solid my freshman year, and then it didn't play as well sophomore and junior year. And actually, I missed the travel team for postseason junior year. And that was kind of the breaking point. Like, I'm good enough. I have the talent. Like, I shouldn't be missing this. Like, why am I not playing better golf? And it was good because I took ownership of like, man, like I wasn't wrong. Like, I truly just didn't play well. And like, I need to do something different. I need to play better. I need to like untap my potential more. And that was kind of when a lot of the strokes gain stuff was really becoming more prevalent. And like, hey, this is being introduced, like, keep track of your things. And I've always enjoyed math. I've always enjoyed statistics. It's just kind of been like a second language for me. So it became this journey of like, oh, this is really cool. Now I can apply it to the sport that I love playing, and it can help me play better golf. Like, I'm eating this up. And that's kind of like, man, I can't believe like I've been playing like such an idiot for so long. In like, once you kind of understand like the grass is greener on the other side, and I got by on a lot of talent alone, and obviously you can still play a lot of great golf without strategy, but you're not going to play optimal, if that makes sense. And so that's just kind of when I was forced to then really dive into strokes gain and good core strategy, because my talent only took me so far. I was running into really good players, not playing where I wanted to play. And it was just like, oh, okay, I got to reinvent myself a little bit. So that's kind of the story behind when that all happened.
Well, it could be the other title of this episode. I can't believe I've been playing like such an idiot. Because I think every golfer is going to relate.
Yeah,
exactly. We'll all relate to that. I was like, oh, I got to listen to that. Yeah. I got to listen to that. So, well, I know that personally, and I hope the Golf Smarter community will also now have increased interest in following your career. Yeah. How can we follow you online and get lessons from you? What's the best way to track you down?
Yeah, you can follow me at my website, courseofactiongolf.com. I'm also on Instagram. I think it's Chris Petefish Golf. I'm on a lot of the socials, but yeah, you can check out my website. I got a lot of detailed information there of, how to work with me, what exactly I do. You can follow, where I'm playing, and all that good stuff. But yeah, listen, I think I've been in such a long journey with this that I definitely kind of feel like, man, let's kind of share I shouldn't say the secrets, but like what has really helped me play better. And it's been fun and will be fun to help others kind of achieve what they want to in golf. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome. Courseofactiongolf.com.
That's right.
Chris, it's been great talking to you. It's been not only an education, but it's really a great journey that I appreciate you so much sharing it with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. It's been really fun.